What's up, everybody? Uncommon NASA. It is 2023. Subscribe to the Uncommon Records YouTube channel. Subscription right down there. This video is a little tiny bit late, but just going over all of the releases that we put out in 2022 to recap the year and then kind of take it forward. I want to start at the top. You know, it's really important. Really important is sort of an understatement. You know, 2022 was really fucked up because we lost Gajah. And before I get into releases and talking about music, I just want to acknowledge that. You can see over my shoulder, Gajah's right there in the studio. So I don't really know what to say, you know, real time at this point. We're coming up on a year, unfortunately. I'll put out some stuff and some footage then, but we'll get into that then. Some of the releases that I'll talk about here, well, one of them has Gajah featured on it. And another thing that I'll mention in terms of other new Gajah material, you know, go over to Acid Lab's Bandcamp. There are several uncommon releases that Gajah was on, Gajah's own music, that either I remixed or Mute Speaker remixed or Awkward remixed. I think EQ has a remix up there too. You know, I know from myself, like, when I did the two remixes that I did, like, man, I was really trying hella hard. Like, it just being sort of in the room, so to speak, with Gajah again, or at least hearing his voice again, was really important, and I put a lot of effort into those remixes. So please go and check them out and go and support Acid Lab. That page on Bandcamp of remixes, and there's also an original track with like almost everybody from Project Blowed on it. You know, go and support that because the funds from that go toward his family and his children. So I'm hoping that when the vinyl kind of calamity like clears up to put Gajah on vinyl in several different ways with some of our back catalog and maybe even some things that aren't a part of the back catalog yet. So we'll get to that when we get to it, but let's get into the releases. So started off the year with this guy right here. This is from myself, from Uncommon NASA. That's me. It's the Oculus EP. This was a follow-up to 2021's Only Child album. Both this and that were produced fully by Masai Music. And shout out to Masai Music for really giving me some of the highest quality music that I've put out, or some of the best production for me to make some of the highest quality music that I've put out. This one's got short fuse and past tense on it as well. Shout out to Samurai Banana, who shot and edited the video for the title track Oculus, and from that video I actually pulled together most of the images that ended up being used for the cover. And you know, this record wouldn't be the same without him or DJ Jazz Pants, who did the actual cover put together. I'm trying to show off this here. I mean, this is the coolest tape. Like, I can't believe how good this came out. Like, you know, there's nothing better like than when something is in my head and it actually works, and most of that is due to the patience and persistence of DJ Jazz Pants. A very tiny percent of it is because I can see things. I'd like to think that I can see things well before they happen. And just for the sake of opening up the card, show you guys what it is. Actually forgot myself that I put all the lyrics for this record in the tape. So, you know, get your reading glasses out, but it definitely looks dope and pops. I can't believe I actually forgot that's a thing that I did. So learn something new about your own back catalog as a label owner. After Oculus, we had a digital release to continue with all of our reissues of back catalog Masai Bay material. For those paying attention, you know, you might notice a lot of Masai Bay releases have taken place over the last 2 years or so, and that's going to continue. Uncommon Records, as was stated, like, you know, signed most of, not almost all of Masai's back catalog. Some of that was already signed to Uncommon and is just getting repackaging and reissuing and you know, bonus materials added. And some of it is stuff that had been out either independently with Masai or with other labels that, you know, we were able to sign on board here. And I'm super proud that that he was accepting of doing that, and I'm honored to be involved in getting his music out there. Anyone could tell that I'm a huge fan of his work. So, the next release that we had in 2022 was Natural Magic Music. This was not an original Uncommon release. This came out on a different record label at the time. But we put a whole new album cover on it. I did a new primary version of it, engineering-wise. It got some good attention. Shout out to everybody that wrote about it, interviewed Masai, all of that. It meant a lot to us that it found a new audience all these years later. And, at some point, maybe we'll look at doing a physical release of it. It was digital for the time being. So, if you love it or want to see it, released physically, leave a comment here at YouTube, but also just go to Spotify and stream it. Stream the hell out of it. Listen to it on Bandcamp, download the digital version. It's definitely something I'd be interested in the future. So we'll see where that goes. Sometime after that, we did another reissue. Honestly, don't remember the order on this, but this is an Uncommon Restoration release. For those that don't know, Uncommon Restoration is a 45 7-inch sub-label that me and Fuze created to go into our back catalog at Uncommon and beyond, and just get classic singles from that weird digital era of the late 2000s, where it was like post-physical, but pre like streaming, and it was just like a lot of people just stealing music and people doing things for free. And a lot of artists, particularly on Uncommon and within our greater scene, like really didn't get the attention they deserve. So bringing records like this back to vinyl in this new kind of cool way, where it's Mad Cow Milk. This is the Karniege single. This is a single from Karniege off of From the Left. If that camera ever focuses, you'll see the B-side is Busy Boys, which features Mark Speck and Access Immortal. And Short Rock on both sides as well, laying down cuts. Again, it's a pleasure to be able to bring these things back. If you haven't heard From the Left, it's probably the first non-The Presence album that I produced in full. Even the Presence albums, I produced most of them, but I didn't do all the beats. So realistically, this is the first 100% NASA-produced album-length release. And shout out to Karniege. We got up for the Van Gogh's Ear video. It's the last time I saw him in person. And good dude and longtime friend. And I definitely support everything that he's doing. Hopefully we can link up again at some point and do some new music. But, this is the 7-inch. Go and get that. After that, we got into the long-awaited Guillotine Crowns album. And Guillotine Crowns is myself and Short Fuze as a duo. I had produced 2 albums and an EP for him before we became an official group where we both rapped and I produced everything as well. And so Guillotine Crowns Hills of Dion first appeared as a CD. This was available in the spring while we waited for our vinyl to come back. Guillotine Crowns style, as you guys have picked up on, logo, background, we keep it simple, we keep it dominating. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. This inside fold here on the CD is actually exclusive to the CD, so that's not on the vinyl packaging. Behind the, again, logo appears again behind the disc. In the back, we've got my original tags, if that ever unfocuses somewhere. Alright, it doesn't want to do that. I'm asking too much of the camera, but you can see there, those are hand styles for all these album titles. Again, shout out to Jazz Pants on the artwork. He does like 95% of the artwork for the label, if not even more than that. There are a few things, but otherwise. And this album does have Gajah on it. Gajah and Duke appear on Horseman Armor. And, I'll say this, like, if you're following us, like, Origin Stories had the 4 of us on it together. This song had the 4 of us on it together. Something that I was planning on doing a lot of is having the 4 of us kind of unite on individual records of different artists and that were all associated, kind of taking after that Gangstar model, or that Premiere model, I should say, of doing things that way. it's a good example of what we were working on together as the four of us. Other people on this record is Gyroscope, Colossal Structure, and Ivy Focus, Sketch 185, and Tracy Jones is on this record as well. I produced the whole thing. Go and get it. And then we had to wait for quite some time, and I talked about this on Dope Shit Podcast. If that episode's not out yet, it will be out soon. But we ran into some issues with vinyl. I think the whole world ran into some issues with vinyl. At least I'd like to think so. But we ran into an 11-month turnaround that wasn't really told to us until after we submitted the material. So it was like, well, what are we supposed to do? So we submitted the materials for this in September of 2021. And we didn't get the vinyl in hand until September or October of 2022, which was disappointing for us. A special shout out to everybody that pre-ordered this vinyl. If you haven't gotten it yet, if you were thrown off by the wait time or anything like that, it's available. Go and get it. This is our blood-soaked vinyl for Hills to Die On. Of course, Loyalty Star, 2 different colors. This is how we do it. For those that really like minute details, chose a nice black sleeve for this particular album, which I think really matches really well. And I don't know, man. I can't say enough about making this album with Short Fuse. This album really means a lot. It came, I guess, chronologically sort of overlapped with Only Child when I was recording that, but and then extended after I was done with that album in the studio. And it just is. It's different than what my solo material is, and it's different than what Short Fuse's solo material is. This is just heavy, b-boy oriented, thoughtful hip hop. The first side does one thing, the second side does another thing. I'll leave you guys to figure out what exactly we did differently on each side. And we've talked about it. There's some videos I can link right up there or there, wherever it ends up appearing, where me and Fuse talk through making this record and give you some more information on it. As I said a bunch of times to Fuse and publicly, this is kind of the year of Short Fuse. 14 songs on Guillotine Crowns, 14 songs on his solo album, The Painkiller Boutique. So this is The Painkiller Boutique. Original cover art by Sasha Sai, layout and graphics by Jazz Pants again. And this is sort of where we started to push the art for CDs in lack of vinyl at the moment. Again, we'll probably get back into that at some point during 2023. But, we started to go to gatefold CDs so that we can do some more interesting things. You can see a collage here that Jazz was able to create. On the back, got the classic picture of him and his daughter with the classic pose, track list. This really came together really well. It's a really dope layout, and of course, Short Fuse asked for this specifically, and this is, what we did. So, again, shout out to Gajah. And shout out to Short Fuse for doing that, too. This record, if you haven't heard it, you really need to go hear it. It's different than Hills to Die On. It's a different kind of record. He's still the same person. It's still coming from the same voice. I'm still the same person for the sake of what I did in terms of dropping cameos and the one beat that I did and all the mixing and sort of exec producing that I did and put it together. But this is a different side of Short Fuse from even the solo records that I produced previously. And most of the production is attributed to Dr. Kill, but we've also got 2 beats from Blood Money Perez, 2 beats from Masai Music, and that 1 beat from me that I mentioned. I think that leaves 9 that Dr. Kill did. I mixed the whole thing. I put the primary together. The primary broke my back getting all this music together and sounding clean and good. And it was a process, and it was an enjoyable labor of love to put this album together. Even though it wasn't my record or something I was a part of, I felt included by Fuse, and that was really awesome. It features myself on 2 tracks in terms of rapping. It features Def C, and it features Colossal Structure. Furious P did some cuts as well. So go and check this out. This is still a relatively new record. If you haven't seen the video for the Chronic Pain, that's another thing that you need to see. We'll put a link in this video as well. But Chronic Pain, shot by Short Fuse himself. He came up with some ideas and angles and ways that he wanted to present the Chronic Pain as a song and as a reality. And again, shout out to Samurai Banana, who edited that together so stunningly and really put together something special for us. Getting into some digital things that we did this year. We put out the first single from an album I produced for Guilty Simpson. That album's going to be out on Uncommon Records. It's going to be a Guilty Simpson album. I produced the entire thing. And the first single is Easy. If you haven't heard that yet, go to Spotify, go to Bandcamp, check it out. Any other service, Apple Music, whatever. We'll be putting out a couple more singles before the album drops. That album will be available on vinyl and CD. We also put out the first single from Samurai Banana's upcoming album on Uncommon Records for 2023. The first single is called Demon Dancing. That came out around Halloween weekend. Samurai Banana obviously has been down and been associated for a long time. I toured with him many times. We do the Dope Shit podcast. Before that, we did Uncommon Radio Live for, I think, like 2 years before we even did the podcast, which has been going on for even longer than that. Basically hired me to do the primary for his record, and I intended to just do that primary and support, you know. But when I heard the record and I heard what it was about and what it was saying with instrumentals and what his deeper plan for the artwork is going to be, I you know, wanted to put it out, and, you know, we made that happen. And so the album Just Tired will be out probably the first week of March in 2023. We put out a second single called Slide Through. That came out on January 6th, first week of January, first Friday of January. Please go and check those out. Add them to your playlist and all that. Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music, all the places. And get ready for a really great package. His dad, Richard Gann, is an incredible visual artist, painter, and gave us, you know, the use of some of his incredible images and helped to graphically put them together into it's either a 12 or I think it's a 16-page booklet, and it's gonna be something. Like, you know, like I'm actually going through approving the art with them now, and it's gonna really be something of a CD. And just conceptually, where he took instrumentalism, I think is really gonna get some attention, and certainly got mine. So that's a little bit of what's coming, but also a little bit of what's out there. And I'm going to count this as 2022. This is dropping on January 13th physically. This is the 15th anniversary edition of C87 from Masai and B.M.S. Rap heroes, rap legends, indie rap legends, however you want to say it. That's, I mean, Uncommon Records put out C87 in 2007. And 15 years later, I did a new primary version of it. We have all the instrumentals on this disc and for digital download and streaming. First time that's ever happened. And we got brand new artwork from He Dreamt Mars. He did the original artwork here. Again, DJ Jazz Pants laid this entire thing out. Again, we're doing gatefold. This is sort of like our thing. And, you know, who doesn't want this hanging on their wall if they know what this is, or even if they don't? I mean, this is just gorgeously laid out. You get a nice classic picture of B on the mic with Masai looking over on stage underneath the disc. And if we flip it around, go like this here. The cover, first of all, opens out. So when you open it, you know, you've got your track list, you got the entire image from He Dreamt Mars right there with the really dope, perfectly fitting font that is part of this. And then here, this is a forward from myself that I wrote for these guys about this release. And then, of course, homage to the original cover right there in the top corner. So that pretty much concludes everything we did in 2022. There are singles that we dropped from this ahead of time, Blueser and Sounds Like Rain, you know, just to get the appetite wet for this again. But, you know, I'm super proud of this. I mean, even the spine looks cool. So, like, you know, what else can you say about this? So one of the better physical products I think we've put out. And, you know, when I look at this pile of stuff that we put out for the year, and I put it all together and put it all in a shot here, or almost all of it in a shot, without dropping it, hopefully. But, you know, I don't know. To me, it's just ideal. You know, like, I'm really proud of what we do at Uncommon. Shout out to Jazz Pants for making these things look the way they do. Shout out to all of our artists and musicians that are on the label that put their all into these records. And Uncommon, we try to put out stuff for a reason, not just for the sake of putting it out. Everybody that's associated, like, that's how we build, that's how we make things, is, you know, every record sort of, if it doesn't have a concept, it has a theme, it has a purpose. And, you know, owning those sorts of things physically is what I think is exciting for most people. I will also have noticed, this is one of our only pieces of merch we made in 2022, but it's pretty sick. It's you know, it is the Horseman logo, camo, orange brim, and these are available in the shop on uncommonnasa.com, also at uncommonrecords.bandcamp. You know, I got the Guillotines t-shirt on right here. This was created a couple years ago, but we still have these in the shop, so I'm pretty sure that this is new for 2022. I might have got this in 2021 and not showed it off yet, but in case anybody had not seen this, that's the tattoo right there. I can't sell the tattoo, but I can show it off as something new for this year. So, again, one more time, shout out to everybody that supports us. Full disclosure, like, you know, I'm processing all these orders that we get. 95% of the orders that are shipped are me packaging, or me and my wife putting them together. So we are a small business. We're proudly a small business. But as I say, you know, we are not an independent business as much as we're independent from the business. And that means that your support is what keeps us going and what keeps us valid. I am at a point in my life where, like, if I didn't have the support of people buying our stuff, I wouldn't do this anymore. This is a lot of work, and it's hard at times, even though it's a labor of love. I see some of the same names, you know, that order stuff physically, that shout us out online. Thank you so much for people that repeatedly support us. Even if you bought one thing and ran away, that's cool. We appreciate you too. But the people that keep coming back and make it so that we can put out a diverse amount of artists in styles, in backgrounds, in regions, and still support us. That's, what more can you say? That's exactly what you want as a musician, as a label owner, to get out of doing this. So, you know, I'll leave it there. Again, uncommonrecords.bandcamp.com, uncommonnasa.com. Go right to the shop. Go to Uncommon Records on Spotify. You'll see all of the official Spotify playlists that feature Uncommon Records artists. We have like 5 or 6 of them now. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. And thank you very much. We're trying to hit 1,000 by the end of 2023. We're looking good. And maybe I'll put out another video that kind of gets into a little bit of what's planned for the YouTube channel too. Peace, y'all. Have a good 2023.